The message arrived on a Tuesday morning. It came through every radio, every television, and every computer on Earth at the same time. People stopped in the streets staring at their phones. Drivers pulled over to listen. The message repeated in every human language. People of Earth, this is the Galactic Council. We represent 847 species across the stars. We have watched your world for many years. You are not alone in the universe. We invite you to join us in peace. At first, people celebrated. Aliens were real. Humanity had neighbors among the stars. But the message continued and the celebration turned to fear. You have ignored our peaceful signals. You have not responded to our offers of friendship. This is your final warning. You have 100 Earth days to accept our invitation. Join the Galactic Council. Follow our laws and become part of our civilization. If you refuse, we will be forced to take action. This is how we bring order to the galaxy. We have done this many times before. The broadcast showed images that made people sick. Planets burning from space. Cities turned to glass. Alien species in chains. Ships so large they blocked out the sun. The message was clear: surrender or die. World leaders met in emergency meetings. The United Nations held constant sessions. Religious leaders prayed. Scientists tried to understand the technology in the images. Everyone had an opinion, but no one had a real answer. General Sarah Chen sat in a bunker deep under Colorado, watching the news with her team. She had spent 20 years in military intelligence, and she knew something the public did not. Earth had been listening to alien broadcasts for decades. Secret radio telescopes had picked up their signals. Code breakers had learned their languages. Engineers had studied their technology. They think we're primitive, she said to her staff. They think we'll roll over and beg for mercy. Won't we? Asked a young analyst. Look at those ships. Look at what they can do, Chen smiled. It was not a kind smile. They've been broadcasting their technical specifications across open channels for years. They think no one in this part of space is smart enough to listen. They're wrong. For 30 years, a secret project had been running. It started when the first alien signals were detected. Scientists and military planners realized that one day, someone from the stars might come calling. They decided Earth should be ready. The project was called Sleeping Dragon. Thousands of satellites that looked like space junk were actually weapons. Mining stations in the asteroid belt were really military bases. Colonies on the Moon and Mars had hidden arsenals. Even some of the older space stations that were supposed to be abandoned were fully operational and armed. Humanity had learned by watching the aliens. The Galactic Council had conquered hundreds of worlds. They did it the same way every time. They sent a message. They showed their power. They waited for surrender. Species always gave up when they saw what the Council could do. But the Council had never met humans before. The 100 days passed slowly. People protested in the streets. Some wanted to surrender. Some wanted to fight. Most were just afraid. Governments debated. The Council sent more messages, each one more threatening than the last. On day 98, the United Nations voted. The decision was not unanimous, but it was clear. Earth's answer was no. They would not surrender. They would not become slaves to an alien empire. If the Council wanted Earth, they would have to take it. On day 100, Earth went silent. Every transmitter shut down. Every broadcast stopped. Satellites changed their orbits and went dark. The space stations appeared to be abandoned. Even the messages between Earth and the Mars colonies ceased. From space, it looked like humanity had vanished. Or given up. The Galactic Council assumed the latter. Admiral Varn of the Council fleet received his orders with confidence. He had done this 40 times before. He would take his 200 warships to Earth, accept their surrender, and install a council governor. It would be easy. It always was. His ships were powerful. His weapons could crack a planet's crust. His shields could withstand nuclear explosions. His soldiers had conquered worlds that fought back with everything they had. But Varn had never fought humans before. He did not know that humans had studied every battle the Council had ever fought. He did not know that human engineers had spent 30 years building weapons designed specifically to kill Council ships. He did not know that Earth's silence was not surrender. It was preparation. Deep in the bunker, General Chen watched the Council fleet leave their staging area. It would take them 3 months to reach Earth, 3 months to cross the vast distance between the stars. She turned to her team. Send the activation codes. Begin final preparations. When they arrive, we'll be ready. Across the solar system, weapons came online. Railguns hidden in asteroids powered up. Missile platforms disguised as space debris armed their warheads. Automated defense grids ran final diagnostics. Soldiers on the Moon and Mars took their positions. Humanity was not going to surrender. Humanity was not going to run. Humanity was going to teach the Galactic Council a lesson that would echo across the stars for centuries to come. The Council had sent a warning. They expected fear and submission. They had no idea what was waiting for them in the Sol system. They were about to learn that humans were very good at one particular thing: war. Admiral Varn's fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. 200 warships materialized in perfect formation. It was an impressive sight, one that had made countless species surrender before the first shot was fired. "Begin scanning," Varn ordered. He settled into his command chair, expecting this to be over quickly. The scanning officer worked quietly for several minutes. Then he looked up, confusion on his face. "Admiral, I'm not detecting any significant activity. The planet appears to be inhabited, but their orbital infrastructure is gone. No satellites broadcasting. No ships moving between planets. The colonies on their moon and the red planet show no life signs." Varn frowned. "Are they hiding?" "Unknown, sir. But if they are, they're doing it very well. I'm not even picking up normal civilian traffic. No radio, no television, no internet signals. It's like they all just stopped." Another officer spoke up. "Perhaps they abandoned their system, sir. Fled to another world?" Varn shook his head. "Impossible. We've been monitoring all faster-than-light activity in this region. They don't have that technology yet. They're here somewhere." The fleet moved deeper into the system, heading for the third planet. They passed the orbit of Mars. Navigation reported some debris fields and what looked like abandoned structures, but nothing threatening. "Sir, should we deploy scouts?" the tactical officer asked. "No need," Varn said confidently. "These primitives don't have weapons that can threaten us at this range. Maintain formation. We'll be at Earth in 6 hours." That was his first mistake. Deep in the asteroid belt, sensors detected the Council fleet. Automated systems came online. Targeting computers calculated trajectories. Weapons that had been placed in position months ago adjusted their aim slightly. On Earth, General Chen watched the displays. "They're following the exact path we predicted. They always do. Fire when ready." The weapons were simple in concept but devastating in execution. Massive chunks of metal, accelerated to incredible speeds by electromagnetic railguns hidden inside hollowed-out asteroids. No engines. No guidance systems after launch. Just solid metal moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The Council's shields were designed to stop energy weapons and explosive missiles. They had never encountered kinetic weapons at this scale. The physics were simple. Mass times velocity equals a very bad day. 18 Council warships exploded simultaneously. One moment they were there, flying in formation. The next moment they were expanding clouds of debris. The metal slugs had been fired weeks ago. Time to arrive at this exact moment, at this exact location. Varn jumped from his chair. "What happened? Report." "Sir, we've lost 18 ships." "I don't know how. I didn't detect any weapons fire. There were no missile launches, no energy signatures." "That's impossible." "Sir, more impacts incoming." The fleet scattered, breaking formation. But the weapons didn't care. More ships died as metal projectiles tore through them. The Council's advanced shields might as well have been paper. Full evasive maneuvers. "Return fire." Varn shouted. "Sir, I don't know what to target. I can't find the enemy." That was when the second wave hit. The debris they had passed near Mars wasn't debris at all. Automated weapons platforms, disguised as wrecked satellites and destroyed space stations, came alive. Missiles launched by the hundreds, each one small and hard to track. The Council fleet's point defense systems lit up space with laser fire. They destroyed most of the missiles, but not all. And some of the missiles weren't carrying explosives. They were carrying something worse. "Sir, multiple ships are reporting system failures. Their computers are crashing. Navigation is offline. Weapons aren't responding. Computer virus?" Varn couldn't believe it. The Council systems were supposed to be impossible to hack. "Yes, sir. It appears to be spreading through our communications network." Varn made a quick decision. Cut all intership communications. Each ship operates independently. Navigation. Plot a course back to the jump point. "We're retreating." "Sir, we can't retreat." "The Council isn't here!" Varn shouted. "We are. And if we stay, we all die. Now move." The fleet turned, trying to escape. But they had flown into a carefully prepared killing field. More kinetic weapons struck from unexpected angles. Small human ships, no bigger than fighters, appeared from behind asteroids and struck fast before disappearing again. They didn't stay to fight. They struck and ran like wolves hunting prey much larger than themselves. The Council fleet made it back to the jump point, but the damage was done. 47 ships were gone. 20 more were crippled, barely able to fly. The rest were damaged and demoralized. As they jumped to faster-than-light travel, fleeing the Sol system, every ship received the same message on all frequencies. It was simple. Just 3 words in perfect Council standard language. Welcome to Earth. Back on Earth, people celebrated. They had won. The mighty Galactic Council had run away. General Chen watched the celebrations but didn't join them. She knew this wasn't over. They'll be back, she told her staff. Next time with more ships. Many more. Will we be ready? Chen smiled grimly. We'll have to be. But now they know something important. They know we can fight. They know we won't surrender. And most importantly, they know we understand their technology. She looked at the display showing the retreating Council fleet. We just taught them to fear us. Now we need to teach them to respect us. In the Council chambers, thousands of light years away, the news of the defeat caused chaos. Some demanded overwhelming force be sent to crush the humans. Others suggested negotiation. A few even suggested leaving Earth alone. But the Council had a reputation to maintain. If they let one species defy them, others would follow. Earth had to be conquered, whatever the cost. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. The chamber was vast, with seats for representatives from hundreds of species. Today it was full and angry. This is unacceptable, roared Ambassador Kreth, his scales flushing dark red with rage. A primitive species has humiliated us. We must respond with overwhelming force. Other ambassadors shouted their agreement. Species who normally disagreed on everything were united in this. Earth had to pay for its defiance. High Chancellor Morven raised his hand for silence. He was old even by his species' long-lived standards. He had seen the Council conquer 50 worlds. We will respond. I am authorizing the assembly of a battle fleet. 2,000 warships. It will be the largest military force we have deployed in 3 centuries. The chamber erupted in approval. 2,000 ships. Earth would be crushed. The Council's power would be restored. But assembling such a fleet took time. Ships had to be pulled from border patrols and garrison duties. Crews needed to be trained together. Supplies had to be gathered. It would take 9 months to assemble and move the fleet to Earth. 9 months that humanity did not waste. General Chen stood before the world leaders on a secure video call. They're coming with everything they have. Our intelligence suggests 2,000 warships, maybe more. We hurt them, but we can't beat that many ships with what we have. Then what do? The President of the Americas asked. Surrender? No, Chen said firmly. We change the game. We make them afraid to come here, and we show the rest of the galaxy that we're not going away. She outlined her plan. The world leaders listened. Some were horrified. Others were impressed. All agreed it was necessary. Earth's military didn't just prepare defenses. They went on the offensive. Small teams of humans began appearing deep in Council space. Not armies, not fleets. Just small groups with stolen or improvised technology and one goal: make the Council bleed. Lieutenant Marcus Webb led one such team. 12 people, a ship barely large enough to hold them and enough explosives to level a city. Their target was a Council mining world called Tarn 7. The Council uses slave labor here, Webb told his team as they approached the planet. Species they've conquered forced to mine radioactive ore. Our mission is simple. Free the slaves. Destroy the mine. Get out alive. They landed at night, avoiding the orbital sensors. The Council was confident in their power. Their security was minimal. Why would they need more? No one had ever attacked them on their own territory before. Webb's team moved through the mining facility like shadows. They cut the power, opened the slave pens, and armed the prisoners with stolen weapons. The guards barely understood what was happening before they were overwhelmed. As the freed slaves fled to the ships the humans had brought, Webb's team planted their explosives. The entire mining operation went up in a fireball that could be seen from orbit. The escaped slaves were dropped at a nearby neutral world. Webb's team disappeared before the Council could respond, but they left a message painted on the mine's ruins in letters 10 meters tall. Earth remembers. Similar attacks happened across Council space. A shipyard sabotaged. A supply depot destroyed. A prison camp liberated. The council scrambled to respond, but the human teams were small, fast, and unpredictable. They struck without warning and vanished. The council's client species began to whisper. If humans could fight the council, maybe they could too. Riots broke out on 3 subjugated worlds. Trade convoys demanded military escorts and slowing the economy. The council's iron grip began to show cracks. Back in the Sol system, Earth prepared for the inevitable assault. The moon became a fortress. Massive railguns were built into craters pointing up at the stars. Mars did the same. The asteroid belt became a maze of weapons and traps. Earth itself was transformed. Cities built deep underground shelters. Factories worked day and night building weapons. Every person capable of fighting was trained. This wasn't just a military preparing for war. This was an entire species ready to fight for survival. Dr. Sarah Kim worked in a laboratory in Tokyo, leading a team of 300 scientists. Her specialty was biology, specifically alien biology. The council had dozens of member species, each with different biology. Sarah's job was to create weapons that would exploit those differences. I don't like this, she told General Chen during a video call. These biological agents could kill millions. I don't like it either, Chen admitted. But if it comes down to our species or theirs, I choose ours. Every time. Will the weapons work? Sarah nodded slowly. Yes, the council has been careless. They've shared medical data freely among their species. We've intercepted it all. We know their weaknesses. If we deploy these weapons, entire species could be wiped out. Then we'll save them as a last resort, Chen said. But if they force us, we'll use everything we have. The months passed. Human attacks in council space continued. The council fleet assembled, growing larger every week. The galaxy watched and waited to see what would happen when the council's full might arrived at Earth. In the council chambers, High Chancellor Morvan received reports of the human attacks. He was not angry. He was worried. These humans fought differently than any species he had encountered. They didn't try to win by conventional means. They tried to make war too expensive, too painful to continue. They're trying to break our will, he told his advisors. They think if they hurt us enough, we'll give up. They don't understand. We can't give up. If we back down from one primitive species, our entire empire will collapse. His chief military advisor agreed. The fleet will be ready in 3 months. When we arrive at Earth, we will not make the same mistakes as Admiral Varn. We will stay at maximum range. We will bombard the planet from orbit until they surrender. No fancy tactics, no close combat, just overwhelming firepower. Morvan nodded. Make it so. But also, increase security on all council worlds. These human raids must stop. They're making us look weak. Yes, Chancellor. Though I must say these humans are quite resourceful. If they survive this war, they might actually make valuable members of the council. They won't survive, Morvan said coldly. We're going to make an example of them that the galaxy will never forget. On Earth, General Chen received the final intelligence reports. The council fleet would arrive in 90 days. She looked at her team, these people who had worked so hard, sacrificed so much. They're bringing everything they have. This is it, the big fight. Are we ready? Her staff nodded. They had done all they could. Now came the hard part. The waiting. And then the fighting. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Then let them come. We'll show them what humans do when we're cornered. We fight? The council fleet arrived in the Sol system like a storm of steel and fire. 2,000 warships representing the combined might of the Galactic Council. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel far from Earth, maintaining maximum distance. High Admiral Torgath commanded from his flagship, the Eternal Justice. He was not Admiral Varn. He would not make the same mistakes. He would not get close. He would not be tricked. Deploy the fleet in defensive formation, he ordered. Long-range weapons only. We will bombard Earth from here until they surrender. Send the ultimatum. The message was broadcast to Earth on all frequencies. People of Earth, you have fought bravely but foolishly. You cannot win against the full might of the Council. Surrender now and we will be merciful. Continue to resist and we will destroy everything you have built. You have 1 hour to respond. On Earth, General Chen sat in her command bunker watching the Council fleet on the displays. They were staying far away just as she had predicted. The humans had hurt the Council badly last time. Now the Council was being cautious. Send our response, she told her communications officer. The response was not words. It was action. 3 ships launched from Earth's moon. They were old colony vessels supposedly decommissioned decades ago. They accelerated toward the Council fleet at full speed. The Council's sensors tracked them easily. 3 ships approaching, the tactical officer reported to Torgath. Old models. Minimal weapons. They're on a direct collision course. Probably a desperate suicide attack, Torgath said. Destroy them before they get close. The Council fleet opened fire. The 3 ships were torn apart by laser fire and missiles. They exploded in brilliant flashes far from the Council fleet. Torgath nodded in satisfaction. That was his first mistake. The ships weren't the attack. They were the distraction. While the Council fleet focused on the ships, they didn't notice the small objects launching from the dark side of Earth's moon. Hundreds of them, barely larger than cars with stealth coatings that made them hard to detect. They were moving slowly, drifting on carefully calculated paths. By the time the Council realized what was happening, the objects were too close. They were mines filled with antimatter, simple weapons but devastatingly effective. The Council fleet's shields could stop energy weapons and missiles, but antimatter was different. When matter and antimatter met, they annihilated each other, releasing enormous energy. The explosions were blinding. 12 Council warships died in the first wave. 20 more were damaged. The fleet scattered, trying to avoid the mines, but they were everywhere. Human computers had calculated the Council's evasion patterns. Every direction the ships turned, more mines were waiting. Return fire, Torgath shouted. Target Earth! All weapons. The Council fleet unleashed hell. Missiles by the thousands, laser beams that could boil oceans, kinetic weapons that could shatter continents. The bombardment of Earth began, but Earth was ready. The weapons never reached the surface. Defensive satellites hidden among the orbital debris intercepted the missiles. Powerful magnetic fields deflected the energy weapons. Point defense lasers destroyed incoming projectiles, and Earth returned fire. Railguns on the Moon and Mars launched their projectiles. They couldn't match the Council's rate of fire, but each shot was carefully aimed, calculated. When they hit, Council ships died. The battle became chaos. The Council's careful plan fell apart as human tactics proved unpredictable. Small human ships piloted by volunteers flew kamikaze missions into Council vessels. Some carried explosives. Some carried computer viruses. Some were just decoys drawing fire away from real threats. On the 3rd day of battle, something changed. Several Council ships began firing on each other. Confusion spread through the fleet. What's happening? Torgath demanded. Sir, someone has hacked into the fleet communications. They're sending false orders. Some captains think the orders are real. Some know they're fake, but can't tell which is which. Cut all communications. Sir, if we do that, we can't coordinate the fleet. We'll be fighting as individual ships. Torgath realized the trap. The humans had studied the Council's tactics for years. They knew how the Council fought. They knew the Council's strength was in coordination, in fighting as one massive force. So the humans were taking that away. Maintain communications, but change all encryption codes. To it now. It took 30 minutes to change the codes and restore secure communications. 30 minutes where the Council fleet was vulnerable, disorganized. The humans made them pay for every second. By day 4, the Council had lost over 300 ships. Torgath's fleet was still larger, still more powerful, but the cost was becoming unbearable. And the humans showed no sign of giving up. On day 5, the humans revealed another weapon. The space stations that orbited Venus, the ones that were supposed to be scientific research facilities, were actually something else. They were massive solar collectors designed to harness the sun's energy. They had been charging for months. Now they fired. Concentrated beams of solar energy, focused to incredible intensity. The beams were so powerful they could cut through Council shields like they weren't there. 10 more ships died in the first attack. Torgath realized he was losing. Not because his fleet wasn't strong enough, it was, but because every trick, every tactic, every weapon the humans used was designed specifically to counter Council strengths. The humans had studied the Council's military for decades. They knew exactly how to fight them. On day 6, Torgath made his decision. Signal the fleet. We're withdrawing. This is not defeat. This is a tactical retreat. His officers looked shocked. Sir, the Council will never accept retreat. They'll relieve you of command. They might execute you. Better that than losing the entire fleet, Torgath said quietly. These humans, they fight like demons. Every one of them is willing to die to protect their world. We can't beat that. Not without destroying ourselves in the process. The Council fleet retreated. Of the 2,000 warships that had arrived, only 800 were combat-capable enough to make the jump to faster-than-light travel. The rest were destroyed or too damaged to move. The Council left them behind, limping home in defeat. As the last Council ship disappeared, Earth erupted in celebration. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. But General Chen didn't celebrate. She walked through the ruins of the lunar base looking at the damage. Millions were dead. Earth's orbit was filled with debris. The Moon and Mars were scarred. The asteroid belt was a war zone. We won, her aide said quietly. Why don't you look happy? Because this isn't over, Chen said. The Council won't give up. They can't. Their entire empire is built on fear and obedience. If they let us win, others will rebel. They'll be back. Then what do? Chen looked up at Earth, beautiful and blue and wounded. We make sure they never want to come back. We make sure that everyone in the galaxy knows what it costs to attack Earth, and then we change everything. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. High Chancellor Morven stood at the center, facing the assembled ambassadors. Behind him, holographic displays showed the casualties. 2 fleets. Over 1,200 warships lost. Tens of thousands of Council soldiers dead, all destroyed by one primitive species. We must gather a 3rd fleet, Ambassador Kreth insisted. We cannot let this stand. But other voices disagreed. Species who had been quiet before now spoke up. The losses had been too great. Their own worlds were becoming unstable. The human raids had inspired rebellion. The Council's empire was cracking. Enough. Morven's voice cut through the arguing. I have received a message from Earth. They wish to negotiate. Negotiate? Kreth was outraged. They should be surrendering. They are not offering surrender, Morvan said quietly. They are offering terms. We should listen. The holographic display changed. A human appeared. General Chen, the military leader who had orchestrated Earth's defense. She looked tired but unbowed. Members of the Galactic Council, she began. You came to our world offering us a choice, join you or die. We chose neither. We chose to fight. And we won. Twice. Angry shouts erupted from the ambassadors, but Chen continued. You could gather another fleet. Maybe you could gather enough ships to finally defeat us. But it would cost you. How many more ships? How many more soldiers? How many more species will rebel while you're focused on us? Your empire is failing. We didn't just beat your fleets. We broke your reputation. Morvan raised his hand for silence. What are you proposing? Change, Chen said simply. The Council claims to bring civilization to the galaxy. But what you really bring is conquest. You force species to join you. You take their freedom. You make them slaves in all but name. That ends now. You cannot dictate terms to us. We're not, Chen replied. The galaxy is. Check your intelligence reports. How many worlds have stopped paying tribute? How many species are preparing to rebel? You held power through fear. We showed the galaxy that you can be beaten. Now you have 2 choices, change or collapse. Morven studied the human carefully. She was right, and he knew it. The Council's power had been based on seeming invincible. Earth had shattered that illusion. Even if they destroyed Earth tomorrow, the damage was done. What do you want? He asked. First, Earth is sovereign. You will never attack us again. Second, the tribute system ends. Species are not slaves. Third, the forced conscription ends. Fourth, any species that wants to leave the Council can leave. Fifth, the Council becomes what it always claimed to be, a forum for cooperation between equal partners, not an empire. Impossible, several ambassadors shouted. The Council would fall apart. Maybe, Chen agreed. Or maybe it becomes something better, something worth joining voluntarily. Morven was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. And if we refuse? Chen's expression hardened. Then we don't stop with defense. We've learned how to build faster-than-light ships. We've learned how to navigate the galaxy. We will visit every species you've conquered. We will give them weapons. We will teach them how to fight. We will arm every species that wants to be free. And your empire won't fall because we destroyed it. It will fall because everyone you've oppressed will destroy it themselves. That would mean galactic war. Chaos. Millions would die. Then don't make us do it, Chen said. We don't want war. We want to be left alone to live our lives. But if you force us to choose between our freedom and galactic peace, we will choose our freedom. Every time. That's what it means to be human. The council chamber erupted into arguments. Some demanded war. Others called for negotiation. The council had never faced a situation like this. They had always been the ones with power, the ones making demands. In the end, it was Morvan who made the decision. He was old enough to remember when the council had been different, before it became an empire. Part of him welcomed the change, even if it came from an unexpected source. "We accept Earth's terms," he announced. The chamber went silent with shock. "With conditions. Earth will not interfere in council space. You will not arm rebel species. In return, we recognize your sovereignty and we will begin reforming the council as you suggest." Chen nodded. "Agreed, but we will be watching. And if you go back on your word, we will respond." "Understood." The meeting ended. The greatest empire in the galaxy had been forced to negotiate with a species it had considered primitive. The news spread across the stars faster than light itself. On subjugated worlds, people celebrated. The council's grip was loosening. In council space, military leaders worried about the future. On Earth, people began the long work of rebuilding. General Chen stood on the balcony of the United Nations building, looking up at the night sky. So many stars, so many worlds. Humanity had taken its first real steps into that larger galaxy. "Do you think they'll keep their word?" her aide asked. "Some will, some won't," Chen replied. "But that's okay. We've changed the game. The council can never go back to what it was, and neither can we. What happens now?" Chen smiled. It was a real smile this time, not the grim expression she had worn during the war. "Now we explore. We learn. We meet other species as friends, not as conquerors or conquered. We show the galaxy that there's a better way. And if the council tries again, then we'll be ready. We'll always be ready. That's the price of freedom. Constant vigilance." Across the galaxy, species watched Earth with new interest. Some saw opportunity, some saw danger. All saw something they had thought impossible. A species that had defied the council and lived. Human ambassadors began traveling to other worlds, not to conquer but to talk, to trade, to learn. Some species welcomed them. Others were suspicious. But slowly, carefully, humanity began to build relationships based on respect instead of fear. The council reformed, reluctantly at first, then more willingly as species chose to stay rather than being forced to remain. It was smaller, weaker in some ways, but it was also more legitimate, more sustainable. Years later, historians would call it the Terran Reformation, the moment when one species changed the galaxy, but for the people who lived through it, it was simpler than that. It was the day humanity proved that freedom was worth fighting for, that even the smallest species could stand up to the largest empire, that the old ways could change. The warning had echoed across the stars. Join us or die. Earth had answered with silence and steel, and in doing so, they had given the galaxy something it had been missing for centuries. Hope. General Chen retired eventually, spending her last years teaching at the new Galactic Studies Institute on Earth. She told her students about the war, about the fear and the sacrifice, but mostly she told them about what came after. "We didn't fight to be conquerors," she would say. "We fought to be free. And once we were free, we helped others find their freedom too. That's the real victory, not the battles we won, but the peace we built afterward." The students would listen. These children who had grown up in a galaxy where Earth was respected, where humanity was known not just for its military but for its principles. They had never known the fear of those dark days when war seemed inevitable. That was good, Chen thought. That was what they had fought for. So the next generation wouldn't have to. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers and possibilities. Humanity had claimed its place among the stars not through conquest but through courage. The Council's warning had been meant to intimidate. Instead, it had awakened something the galaxy had forgotten. The simple truth that all species, no matter how small or primitive they seemed, deserved respect. Deserved freedom. Deserved a choice. Earth had made its choice, and in doing so changed everything.